everybody, welcome back to the K2N Online Paddle School. We are back here with episode number 19 of the K2N vlog. This last weekend, K2N, our club here in Hernando, participated at the Lake Hernando Dragon Boat Festival. So this festival takes place right here on our home waters. And then on Sunday, the Orlando International Dragon Boat Festival had been rescheduled because of Hurricane Milton, and I attended that event to paddle. So at the Lake Hernando Dragon Boat Festival, we put in a community team, a senior mixed team, and a senior ladies team. My role there is simply to coach and to steer the vessels, but I don't actually paddle. But then on Sunday, I did participate and actually helped paddle in the premier 20-person boat. So before going into the recap of the two events, I want to say thank you to all the people that took time out of their day at these festivals to stop and to say such nice words about the online paddle school and then the coaching resources that we offer here on YouTube and on the website. It's awesome getting some of that positive feedback out in the community while at these events. And don't be afraid if you see me at an event, even if I look really serious, you can stop me and I will always take time out of my day to have a conversation. So one of the biggest feeder systems for our club here in Hernando is the Dragon Boat, right? It is the most controlled environment in which to take brand new people and give them this positive experience that allows them to build from this idea into a long-lasting paddling career. And this positive experience is based on their experiences getting into a boat the first time, the first practice, the subsequent practices around that, their interaction with the rest of the club, and then ultimately how they do in the community level boat at Lake Hernando. So the community boats are teams that are put on locally. Here at Lake Hernando, the event is put on by the Citrus Education Foundation, and many of the community level teams are part of the Citrus County school systems. And so these paddlers have just a small handful of practice opportunities, and they may have previous experience from years past because this festival has been going on for like 13 years now. It is a dramatically lower skill level as you enter into this division, so you can take some novices and give them a really fair experience out on the water, right? It is really tough taking new people and having them race against someone that's been doing it for 15 years because they're just gonna get blown out of the water, right? So having them race other people that are equally inexperienced, it's one of the big allures and it's one of the big tools that we use at K2N to try and bring the club forward. Positive experiences is something that I'm super conscientious of as a coach and trying to nurture new paddlers. Giving these people this positive experience increases the percent chance that they are going to return and they are going to enjoy the activity. Many coaches and organizers don't take into account how important it is to have a positive first experience. The interactions that you're going to have the first handful of times with somebody is going to set the tempo for the rest of your interactions or dictate the end of those interactions. And Dragon Boat is notorious for scaring off people, and so there's this balance that you're trying to cultivate. Dragon Boaters are known for being a little gaudy and loud and demanding, and it's overly intense in a lot of scenarios. My only gripe with this is it's very hard to have somebody that is a casual at first in this very weird dynamic and feeling like they're getting bullied as they're trying to learn. But K2N, again, I'm very conscientious of making sure that this person has every opportunity to enjoy the activity. Once you establish this enjoyment and love for the sport, then you can start turning it into something else and trying to take it much more serious. But if it's too serious on the first day, most people immediately burn out or they are not impressed with the personalities that they're interacting with and they want nothing to do with it, so they don't show up again. This is a very common problem where paddlers are introduced into this and they don't survive this initial phase. And so here at K2N, you can trace back the majority of our paddlers, whether they're in OC6, OC1, surf ski, stand-up paddleboard, whatever the discipline is, you can trace their roots back to the Lake Hernando Dragon Boat Festival and them participating in our community boat. And so it's such a cool thing. It is this foundation every year that allows us the opportunity to potentially reload our team. Our overall Dragon Boat prowess and ongoing dominance in the sport has always been limited because of the way that the club is structured. As paddlers improve, we give every opportunity to go into other vessels, right? And once paddlers reach a certain skill level, they are content moving a boat with a friend, by themselves, or in a smaller team. And the allure and the drive of a dragon boat kind of diminishes. Once our paddlers get good enough, they stop doing dragon boat and we have to keep reloading in new people. So our overall skill level seems to cap every year. We're unable to retain these upper echelon paddlers that we do create within the organization. But that being said, at the Lake Hernando Dragon Boat Festival, our community team was able to take gold. We have been second place to another organization from Tampa like 2 or 3 years in a row, and it has always bugged me. So we supercharged and super loaded that boat because I wanted to win with the community paddlers this year. Or new people in the community boat, and you could just see, you know, in their eyes, the work that they put in, the skills that we taught them, put into action, dominating a field of 18 other community boats. It's a really cool feeling to give to somebody. We're hoping that that little spark is the thing that ignites the fire for them to continue paddling in the long term. In the club division, we have our senior age boats, which is 50 plus. We have an all ladies 10-person boat and a mixed 5 men, 5 women, 50 plus boat. Both of our teams got silver, so they fell short of winning by about a second in the finals. There were flashes of them being faster in some of the preliminary rounds, but ultimately we weren't able to capture gold with either of those teams. Balancing expectation and fun, right? If you stranglehold people into trying to be winners at all given time, you sap the life out of people and their enjoyment and enthusiasm and their willingness to continue for the long term. We're always trying to strive for that one more second. What can we do? Can we train more? Can we do off the water exercises? What are the things that we can do as a team to try and close that gap to be winners? But you don't want to make it something where you're so hyper fixated on this end result that your team starts to erode around you. So the other part to balance out is we did fall short by this very small margin, but if we turn our heads and look back, the next boats are 9 seconds and 13 seconds behind us. And so in a 300-meter sprint, this is an extraordinarily long distance. So the first 2 boats are out there in a world of their own, and we have the luxury of being one of those boats. So there's always more that we can do as an organization to try and cultivate and build up our paddlers to try and get that little extra to try and be winners the next time. But comparatively to the rest of the field, they have successfully honed their skills to a point that has separated them from the majority of the rest of the field. I love coaching and steering at this event. It is one of the things that brings me a lot of joy as a coach, and operating our club in this area is we always fixate on the Lake Hernando Dragon Boat Festival. The Orlando Dragon Boat Festival is all 20-person boats, and the skill level is probably a bit higher than the Lake Hernando Dragon Boat Festival. There were 18 premier 20-person mixed boats, meaning 10 men, 10 women, any age category, and the race distance is 500 meters. For myself personally, when it comes to racing, I don't have the same motivation and sense of accomplishment and drive in these 20-person dragon boat situations. One of the reasons is I know that I am only a very small percent of the power within a boat. So my ability to make a difference whether I'm in a boat or not in a boat is not dramatically high. In an OC1 or an OC2, I account for much more of the energy, right? So it's much more motivating. If I can showcase my skills, I can be the difference in the race result. Even to the OC6, when I am just paddling an OC6, it is up to the other 5 people around me to be very talented to keep this boat going, because I can't do it alone. In the steering seat, there are more things going on that give me the ability to leverage race results at a much higher percentage. So again, this is motivating for me, right? I want to be the difference when I get into a boat. In a 20-person dragon boat, it is hard to feel that you are that important because there are so many other people. I am relying on the other 19 people around me to be good to keep the boat going because I can't do it myself. I'm not strong enough to make that much of a difference myself. So winning in a dragon boat or even losing in a dragon boat doesn't get me entirely fired up, right? Because some of the ideas are outside of my control. The team that we raced with in Orlando is called Renegades, and it is an organization that I am coaching. So I agreed to jump in before Chattajack, but then Hurricane Milton kind of displaced the race date to this weekend. And I didn't want to back out on my word saying that I would be there and participating. Out of the 18 mixed teams, Renegades was able to take second place, which was an excellent showing. And just like with the Lake Hernando Dragon Boat Festival, it was good enough of a showing to keep people motivated and fired up that their skills were showcased and they were able to do a great job. But the lead boat in front of us was just far enough away that I hope it keeps all of the paddlers hungry for that little extra improvement going forward into 2025. Spending more time in small boats and moving a boat for yourself and then reinserting yourself into the drag boat, these are the little things that'll make the difference the next time we're in those scenarios. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. It was fun, it's thrilling, it's exciting. Dragon boat racing is super cool. For me, chasing the glory that goes along with that is not something that I have ever been really aspiring for. So this is one of the reasons that you don't see me try out for the US national team. It is a huge financial burden to go to all of the camps, all of the traveling, all of the expenses that go along with that. And I always reallocate those resources into building K2N. People always ask, how do you have so many OC1s and OC2s? Because I don't take frivolous trips that are personal glory based, right? I am trying to grow my organization here. And if we need resources here in Hernando that we're gonna use every day, I'm gonna miss a vacation to some foreign country to paddle for a few minutes, right? It is not something that really fires me up the same way as perpetuating the sport in my area gets. From this weekend, I don't have a lot of footage from the dragon boat racing, so I'm gonna show some photos and what videos I do have, and I'm also gonna show videos from previous years at Lake Hernando. We've had some dragon boat accidents on the water that we have caught on camera, and so I'll try to share that just to, display the carnage that lane racing presents. The other conversation that came up a lot throughout the weekend was talking about surf skis, right? Talking about the ocean racing kayaks and having two blades. The majority of dragon boat only paddlers have no idea what a surf ski is. Trying to explain why there is an allure for being in a very tippy boat with two blades and kind of changing the discipline that you're learning. And the biggest draw to this is the boat speed. The amount of speed that you can get out of these vessels just trumps the speed that a dragon boat can create. To make a dragon boat go as fast, you need 20 talented humans in the boat to drive it forward, right? But you can match these speeds with a single intermediate level surf ski racer in the boat. And so when you start to look at the Olympic level in K1 racing versus the highest world record levels in dragon boat, the K1 racer is always faster by themselves. They have a K2 with 2 people and a K4 with 4 people that goes even faster and beyond. So to display some of the speed from the talking points that I had this weekend, the video footage that you're gonna watch today is me matching the speeds of the winning race times from Lake Hernando and Orlando Dragon Boat Festival. So I matched the fastest 10-person boat, the fastest 20-person boat from Lake Hernando over 300 meters, and then matched the fastest 20-person boat at the Orlando Dragon Boat Festival over 500 meters. It's something to keep in mind with crossover athletes. It is much more of a social norm now to accept that outrigger paddlers or marathon canoe paddlers being put into a dragon boat will be just as successful as they are in their individual discipline going into the team discipline. In 2018, when I started my club, I tried to introduce the same idea in other organizations. Oh man, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just a young kid that doesn't get it. Outrigger paddling is so different than dragon boat. And now the tides have shifted where everybody is in agreement. Yeah, if your outrigger time trial time is excellent, we want you in a dragon boat. So the other abstract idea to add on to this is surf ski paddlers or K1 paddlers make excellent crossover athletes into single blade team sport. When you paddle with a K1 paddle, you have 2 blades. And so the sport is technically twice as difficult because you have to manage both of these blades. In single blade, you take 1 stroke and then you load up and rewind your motion to set up the next one. It is inherently much more simple with a lower stroke rate comparatively to the wing blade double-sided paddle. And the only way that you move a boat forward competently in these surf skis and K1s is by using rotation. So these athletes know how to use their hips and legs in a very aggressive way in the seated position, which translates right over to outrigger canoe and dragon boat. It is abstract to look at because it does look different, but the K1 paddlers have all of these ideas of paddling with a lot of power in an unstable environment at a much higher stroke rate. Each time the blade touches the water, the boat can be going 8, 9, or 10 miles an hour, so their ability to grab water using their whole body is likely much higher than a fast OC1 paddler struggling with 5 or 6 or 7 miles per hour trying to grab the water. So it's something to keep in mind. It's a one-way street. If you can convince K1 paddlers to get into your dragon boat or into your single blade team style paddle vessels, they will immediately be good But if you try to go into their vessel and learn it, it is an incredibly long and arduous learning curve because of the balance, because of the goofy blade, because there's two blades, how to use your legs competently and not flail your body around. These are things that make it a one-way street. Fast surf ski or K1 paddlers in your area, and you're trying to supercharge your team boats, you just gotta convince them to jump in and do the easier thing to make your boat more successful. Thank you all so much for checking out the video this week. If you want to see any topics discussed, if there's anything that you want to see, feel free to reach out via email or on the live chat function on the K2N Online Paddle School. We do clinics and camps and lessons right here at Lake Hernando. It does not freeze in Florida here, so if you want to fly down and do a lesson, I have all the equipment, I have all the time in the world. I coach full time. We can meet during the week or the weekend. I will make time to paddle with you. It is almost downwind season here in Florida, so as the temperature starts to drop, we get these big north winds, and we're going to be surfing across Tampa Bay, and the vlog series is going to shift into showcasing all of these trips. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next week for episode 20 of the K2N vlog. All right, so here is some photos of our club at Lake Hernando over the years. Each year we have different new people, kind of getting into the club and stuff. So here's some flashbacks from 2018, 19, 21, and I think 22 as well. So this video here is taken from the drum seat of the community final. So our drummer David was real comfortable up in the front, so he whipped out his phone, and I was about to say like, no, don't do that. I didn't want him to drop his phone in the water, but yeah, this pretty cool video, and you can see it's very action-packed, shaky cam. This is our community boat taking the lead here, pushing really hard, and we have the previous year's winners on the side there, and we cross the finish line in front of them. This is from last year, and this is two boats running into each other. The boat on the far outside lane there went out of lane and hit the boat next to us, and their dragon head popped up. I'm pretty fired up because I was scared that we were going to get hit, and our boat was fast enough to clear the side boats there. So always funny watching boats taking a collision. So this is from the Orlando Drag Boat Festival. This is from the second heat, I believe. Our boat is number 3 there. I'm in seat 2 on the right side. If you look real close, I'm rushing Macy in the front there because I, like giving her a hard time. So I'm exiting just a little too soon, but the rest of the crew looks pretty good. In the second heat, in the first and second heats, we won overall in our heats. We had the fastest time of the day coming out of the second heat and fell a little short in the finals. But overall, super windy from the side, so a lot of bow wave coming off and coming into the boat. So it's definitely a super wet ride over at Orlando. But overall, a lot of fun. You can see the spread from the first place boats to the back boats. And here's a picture of the team. So my goal was to take as few strokes as possible within the surf ski to cover the speed and the distance that we're looking for. So 0.19 miles is about 300 meters. It's just a touch over. And the men's dragon boat, 10-person boat at Lake Hernando completed it at 1:31. There was some side wind on race day, and right here at Lake Hernando, there's still some side wind 2 days later. So it's these north-driven winds from some cold fronts coming in as winter hits Florida. So you can see here, 60 strokes per minute is, it says 30, but that would be 30 strokes on one side, 60 for each side. So each stroke takes about a second here. You can see the distance per stroke is 21.62 feet, but really I'm getting about 10.8 feet per single stroke, and then 2 single strokes, per minute there, or two adding up to the 21.6. So the average pace, 7.5 miles per hour, gives you 8-minute miles, and that's pretty standard long distance pacing for intermediate level surf skis. Pushing closer to 8 miles an hour for an hour puts you in that advanced realm, and then anything north of 8 miles an hour makes you a professional. So super smooth. I was just trying to go through and kind of capture how simple and easy it is to take those dragon boat speeds in. So now transitioning into the 20-person boat for Lake Hernando. The fastest boat of the day was a mixed boat. There wasn't a deep field of open boats, which would be the all-men boats. But overall, the speed was, I think, 1 minute and 23 seconds. Again, 0.19 miles for the distance gives us about 300 meters. The average stroke rate here goes up to 78. So now this is a bit sportier of a pace, right? For a lot of people, their long distance pacing is usually between this 39 SPM and 41 SPM long distance wise. It depends on the speeds that you're going overall, but this is a little bit more conducive to a long distance race pace. This would not be conducive to sprint racing yet in the kayak. So you can see the distance per stroke drops, but the speed increases from 7.5 average to 8.2. So getting less distance per stroke, but now the math is in your favor, taking 18 additional single strokes per minute, right? It adds up very fast and still holding on to the bulk of the distance per stroke. So the swells are kind of presenting themselves. There's a boat wake that went by, so that was easy to catch there. So you can see the speeds increase to 9 miles an hour surfing those little waves. But yeah, for the most part, again, not a frantic, supercharged pace to hold off the fastest boat at Lake Hernando in the Dragon boat. And again, if you're watching these boats, man, they go pedal to the metal. So seeing a surf ski just kind of cruise through just kind of gives this allure and draw to the potentials of the boat. So the speed pacing here now goes to 102 strokes per minute, right? So this is getting closer into the realm of sprinting. For most 500 meter sprint ratings, you're looking at 120 strokes per minute or more. I am on the shorter side, so my limb leverages being a little bit more compact means that I'm gonna turn over more than somebody that's 6'6" and has super long arms. And so my rating could hit 130 or 140 for a true 500 meter sprint. So I was just trying to find a sporty pacing just to kind of demonstrate, you know, what it looks like at north of 100 strokes per minute. So you can see the distance per stroke drops off big time, but again, taking 20 plus strokes per minute, the math still adds up where the speed goes from 8.2 average to 8.8. So this is matching the fastest boat at the Orlando Dragon Boat Festival over 500 meters. They did 207.6, I believe, and this is about 207 flat. So just going through, I have used small paddle blades that are very short, and I have held ratings of 100 for, you know, an hour or two in the past. Usually using a bigger paddle will slow down and lengthen the stroke out a bit, so it's harder to hold that higher rating for long distance, but it's definitely feasible. At the International Canoe Federation Marathon Worlds in the K2N, you'll see many of the athletes hold north of 100 strokes per minute for about 2 hours. Their speeds are conducive to what I'm doing here, except they hold it for like 2 hours. They're, you know, 8.5 average or something for 2 hours, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, just going through and just, again, showcasing the surf ski and its potential. You can see the leg drive in the boat here and how much of the legs are pumping. It's a great skill to learn and transition back into the seated paddle crafts and the outrigger canoe and the dragon boat, and really how to use your legs. But yep, got a lot of talking about the surf skis, so want to showcase how fast they can go, and matching the dragon boat speeds can be fairly simple. I'm not a professional in a surf ski, you know, and if you look at my skill level worldwide, I am, you know, in the intermediate range. And so it's something to consider if you're branching out into different sports and wanting to broaden your horizon. Thank you all so much for checking out the vlog this week. If there's anything you want to see in the future, don't hesitate to contact us, and we'll try to get that out there for you. Thank you all again. We'll see you next week for episode number 20.